Hey, good morning. This is Jim. I'm in Phoenix, Arizona today, and behind me, you can probably barely see it, is Camelback Mountain. I'm your end-of-life doula who's about to tell you 5 important things you should know if you're dying or if someone you love is dying. But we're going to do it by hiking to the top of a mountain. All right, let's go. Well, here I am in the parking lot, and I clearly underestimated the popularity of this adventure. The parking lot's already full at 6 a.m. and I can see headlamps going up the mountain, so there may be some other folks on the trail. I'm James Land, a certified end-of-life doula and a hospice volunteer for the past 10 years. And what I'm about to tell you is going to be real helpful if you or somebody you love is approaching end of life. Well, the hike starts off pretty nice. Lovely full moon and Phoenix behind us. So let's start with the least most important of the 5 steps, which almost all of you think is the most important step. And that step is to get your financial affairs in order. Well, I can assure you, from having worked with many a patient at the end of life, the last thing they're concerned about at the end of life is their financial affairs. The trail's pretty steep and gnarly, so one of the hazards of running a YouTube channel and vlogging in the dark is when you shine a light in your face on steep, rugged terrain, guess what? You can't see where you're going. I had to get off the main path so I could even sit down and vlog without looking like an idiot, because I would be blocking traffic. So I'm hiking by this one man. Now this is a metaphor for why we're talking about 5 important things in end of life, okay? I'm walking by this one man, and he's got his 3 kids with him. Probably 1 preteen and 2 littler ones, 8 and maybe 10. And the first thing I hear as I come up behind him is, "Get up, don't crawl." And then right after that I hear, "Don't even think about it, just go." And I'm like, wow, I wish I had the camera out right then. So I was walking up the trail behind you, and I heard you telling your kids, you're like, "Okay, don't crawl. Yeah. Get up, keep moving." Right. Is that the way you live your life?
Try to anyway.
All right. Wow. Why do you bring your kids? This is hard for kids.
Yeah, we're gonna go to a buffet tonight, so we gotta make it count.
This is perfect. This is the way we live our lives, people. A lot of us are just going through. Don't think about it. Get up. Don't crawl. There's nothing wrong with crawling, guys. What I want you to do is crawl through these 5 things and get them done and get the peace of mind you're hoping for. Because the peace of mind in the end is actually a reflection of how you live right now. So there's the top of the mountain right there behind me. And there's no big deal of summiting this mountain. It might be a great metaphor for life as well. You know, what is this first life we live? Maybe it's just a rinky-dink little mountain like that, and it's very important to enjoy the journey as you go up. Do you know what an estate plan is?
I do.
That is simply done with a will, or if you have a lot of assets, in most states over $100,000, you want to have a trust. All this stuff is covered on the GoGracefully.com website. You can check it out. Once you have your will and your trust, then you want to move into the second most important thing to have in place. And this is oftentimes just the opening of the door for many people.
Do you know what an end-of-life plan is?
I do not.
This is what's called a living will, also known as Advanced Healthcare Directive.
How old are you?
41.
Do you have children?
I have 3 children.
Okay. Do you have an estate plan?
I do have that, yes.
You do have an estate plan.
Yes.
Okay. Part of a good estate plan includes what's called a living will. Mm-hmm. Are you familiar with that document?
I believe so, yes.
Okay,
yeah.
The living will addresses what you would want done if you couldn't speak for yourself.
Okay, I do not have that.
So to tackle the second thing of having a living will in place, what you're gonna do is you're gonna have to think about how you want the end of your life to unfold while you're still healthy.
For example, would you want to be on life support?
No, I would not.
How about CPR?
Yes, of course.
Do you know what dialysis is?
I do.
Would you want to be on dialysis?
I wouldn't want to, but I would do it, yes.
You would do it.
Yeah.
How about a blood transfusion?
Yes.
Do you even know what life-sustaining measures are. So these are things that you're going to check off on this living will, and you're going to be making powerful decisions. For example, if you check off life-sustaining measures, guess what? You're going to get surgery. You're going to get dialysis. You're going to get blood transfusions. You're going to be hooked up to almost every machine possible in the ICU. That's the intensive care unit, for those of you who've never been in a hospital. And that might not be the way that some of you want to go. Well, even in the midst of this crowded trail, there's gorgeous things like that saguaro. Beautiful. Okay, so back to the subject matter of this video. I think we were on number 3. Whew, I need my breath. Number 3 is to face your fears. And facing your fears means taking an honest look at what scares you. Are you afraid?
No, not really.
You're not?
Not really.
What prevents you from being afraid?
Everybody does it.
Everybody does it.
Everybody does it, and it happens to everyone. So.
Do you guys agree?
It's the only constant thing about life.
So is there anything that you should fear? How about pain? In one of our other videos, we talk about pain and how pain is oftentimes one of the scarier things when it comes to end of life. In other words, it might induce us to use painkillers, really strong ones like morphine, because we want to avoid the pain.
I do fear the pain.
Do you fear the pain? Would you take like really strong drugs if you were in pain, like morphine and stuff like that? What would it be like to just feel that pain? Truly feel it. Stay with it for a day. With a careful look and an inventory of what we're afraid of, we can begin addressing those things as we move forward in life. Do any of you know that for thousands of years, people died without any medication at all? So
Yeah.
how do you think they did that? Anyone want to guess?
I mean, they just kind of did it. My thing is just like they probably just didn't have like the advancements that we're fortunate enough to have today.
Okay.
So it's kind of like, being thankful that we have those type of things now that we didn't have back then, because it just makes everything like easier.
Don't jump right to taking the Advil or Vicodin or whatever your go-to drug is for pain, but actually feel it. Try to meditate through it. Try to pray through it if that's your inclination. Try to experience the pain for what it is. And what you will notice, which is what a lot of people at end of life notice, is that once you start being with these experiences, they lose their hold. The fourth important thing to think about as we approach end of life should actually be the last one I talk about, and it should be the most important. However, unless you do the fifth thing and incorporate the fourth thing is lost. So we were just talking about kind of what it means to have faith, and you said what?
I don't believe it's a religion. I believe it's a relationship with Jesus.
All right.
Or whoever you believe.
I mean, I know my destiny.
Tell me about that. Is it a faith-based thing?
Yeah. I believe in God, and I believe.
I talked to a young lady at the top this morning who said something very similar, and I asked her this question. I said, what is the clear picture of that faith? So you die, you wake up. What do you envision in your mind as that clear picture?
Well, I guess the body is an extension of the soul, and when the body dies, the soul continues to live on.
And what does that soul wake up to?
Well, it wakes up to the reality that this isn't reality.
For many of us, we have a faith. We have a spiritual practice. And what's important to do is to incorporate your spiritual practice into thinking about end of life. Do any of you have a spiritual practice that strengthens you in this way?
No.
Now you're wearing a mullet, brother. Do you meditate?
No. I'd like to think of myself as somebody who would meditate in the future.
In other words, if you're a Christian, you would want to think about what end of life means for a Christian. The young lady we spoke to just a minute ago talked about being with Jesus. And yet when I asked her in more depth, what did it mean to be with Jesus, she had a hard time describing that. How's that look in your mind?
He comforts me and cradles me on earth.
So, what you want to do is take your faith, whether you're Muslim, whether you're Jewish, whether you're Christian, whether you're an atheist, and take that and bring it to the experience of end of life.
So to be with him in eternity, we'll be worshiping him with more beauty than it is right here.
Figure out what your faith is and how it impacts end of life, because it will certainly impact how you feel as you lie there on your deathbed. It might also impact those who you love. All right, that brings us to number 5, the last one, but not the most important one. The most important is number 4, your spiritual work. Okay, number 5 is tell somebody you love about your end-of-life plan. Remember, an end-of-life plan is not an estate plan. We covered that in this video. An end-of-life plan covers all of the things we've been talking about, the emotional, the spiritual, the financial. It's a part of it too. Pick someone who's going to be an advocate for you, somebody that knows your plan and is willing to stand up for you and go to bat for you. God forbid you end up in an institution. You're going to need someone at your back. That's it. 5 important things to consider at end of life. Hopefully this has been helpful to you. If it has, please hit the like button, subscribe, follow us. There's plenty more valuable information that we're going to tell you about at Go Gracefully. And you get to follow us around the country and climb to the top of mountains too.
The future is now.
There's another guy who needs an end-of-life plan.